Hey guys, welcome into the Bear With Us podcast. I'm Jack. He's Dak Prescott, and I'm just calling you Frank that because Dak took his helmet off yesterday, and I was like, God damn, that looks like Frank. Have you heard that before?
Dude, oddly enough, now that I stream on TikTok, I get Dak Prescott way more than I ever have before. The two people that I get are Dak Prescott and what the hell? I always forget his name. He's a porn star, a bald dude, and I never heard of him until someone compared me to him a few weeks or a few months ago.
Oh, that's good.
Good. That's it.
Well, then I don't feel crazy for I'm not even shitting you. Like, I've known you. How long have we known each other? Like 6 years, 7 years. At this point?
Yeah, like 7 years.
I never noticed it until last night when it was fucking midnight. I guess it was technically earlier this morning because that game went forever. But Dak took the helmet off. I'm like, Frank. But I didn't want to say anything because I was like, am I allowed to say that? But you've confirmed that it's okay. So
yeah, 100%. 100%.
Frankie, the tone of this podcast, as you probably could already tell, it's going to be a lot more relaxed, a lot more fun. You know why? Because the Bears fucking 3-2, getting the dub against the fucking Panthers. 36-10. Boom. Caleb Williams, 20 of 29, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, no turnover-worthy plays, according to PFF, which I might disagree with just a little bit. That first pass of the game, probably could fall in that category.
Yeah.
But a very efficient, very fun way to spend our Sunday afternoon. If you listen to the Bear With Us podcast going into week 5, we called it. We said that this is a prime breakout opportunity for the Bears. Don't care what anybody says. Yes, it's the Panthers, but you know what, Frank? What did the Bears win last year against the Panthers? What was it, like 19-16 or some shit like that?
Or like 16-13. It was gross. Yeah.
Something gross like that. So you know what? I'm okay with them beating the shit out of a dog shit team. I'm okay with it. I'm going to be honest with you. Do you feel the same? Are you satisfied with what we saw on Sunday?
Yeah, 100%. And now I do caution people to not get like so far ahead of themselves. I think then that pendulum swings too far, but we would have been going ballistic had they lost this game in any fashion, or if it would have been like an ugly game like last year. So we can't have it both ways. That's always been my point with that. With a above average or good team plays a bad team, it's supposed to look that way. Because on the reverse side of it, you would, the first take and everyone would be ripping Caleb to shreds had he did what Josh Allen just did against the Panthers. You know what I mean? Like, so 100% I'm satisfied with it.
I mean, we had 3 touchdowns in the first half? I mean, the game was pretty much over at that point. It was nice to see, and it was efficient. I didn't really agree with it, but one of the criticisms for Caleb's first 300-yard passing game was that it took him 52 attempts to get there. 29, a lot less to get to 300 yards, and he looked comfortable. The run game was working really, really well. You see, maybe I'm crazy, but I saw Caleb being willing to use his legs a little bit more, which was nice to see. 5 carries, 34 yards. It's just, you're starting to see it sort of snowball here. Like the first couple of weeks, you're seeing him start to kind of learn what the offense is against real defenses, real NFL speed, who aren't just running vanilla defenses in the preseason. He's getting used to calling cadences. He's used to getting his line, in the correct protections. And you're seeing the line work, dude. And look, I'm not going to lie to you. The number 18 helps. Saw a lot of what Peyton Manning used to do. And it's 5 games. And I'm not saying he's Peyton Manning. He's not there yet, obviously. But with that being said, he knows what he's doing at the line. And I think that's going to only benefit him moving forward. He knows what protections to get people into. He knows when to check in and out of plays. I came away very impressed, not just statistically. Now, I'll take it. He's on pace for like just shy of 4,000 yards. That'd be nice. I'd be cool with that. But more impressively was the command of the offense. And it's you've seen this sort of just building throughout the last couple weeks here, and it's nice to see it sort of pay off. And Yeah, I came away super impressed. Are you feeling the same way about the command of the offense?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is something that we've said is, and as crazy as it sounded in week one, that was very impressive to us just watching it in real time and then watching some of the film. Again, it may not always look pretty. He's a rookie. And again, even veterans and Hall of Famers have bad games. Like, it is what it is. Those will happen throughout the course of his career. But just seeing him, a lot of what you talked about, the checks at the line, the identifying things, there's a fucking fire. Like, like he's starting to communicate with his offensive line. Like, there's a lot of that's happening that we saw from day one. So really what this was to me was the rubber meeting the road. Some people, in the TikTok comments and or YouTube, oh, you're fucking stupid. He's a bust. He's the okay. But again, we know what we're seeing. This is I don't want to. I was going to call it a privilege that it's our third straight, first round quarterback. But maybe that's not a privilege. But we've had a chance to really see these guys who did not develop, and we're seeing things from him that we did not in game 5, no less. Than that we didn't see out of people in 3 or 4 years. So this game, along with what you talked about, one of the more impressive things to me was just the progressions, man. Like, it was very strange to me, and it was telling that people really aren't watching the games or watching tape after the fact, that people were saying, oh, he just can't get off of his first read. Because that just wasn't true in the preseason. It wasn't true in week 1 when he had a bad game. Like, he's getting through reads. What the problem was him adjusting to the speed of the game. That was very clear that he just wasn't there yet. And we're starting to see that, him get through these progressions quick. But the other thing, though, that you touched on a little bit was him knowing what he's seeing pre-snap, but what he's combining that with, though, and you can tell how much he watches the tape and like sort of discusses with his weapons and probably, the offensive staff of like, when you see this coverage, what would you do as a receiver in here when this play is called? Because he's starting to hit these guys and know what they like, and they're getting on that same page. And it's something that we've talked about over the last few weeks. Is like, it's just missing. This isn't a guy who's like being wildly inaccurate. It's just guys not always being on the same page. And again, it's not to take any blame off of him. He shares just as much blame as his weapons do. But this was the game that showed what we were saying. Like, we're not fucking crazy Mad Men homers. Like, we saw something, and like, again, he's not going to throw for 300 every single game, but like, just expect it to look more natural this way. Like, it's coming together the right way.
And again, I think kind of what we talked about and have been preaching since the beginning of the season is just patience, especially when it comes to just overall offense, because it's not just Caleb learning this offense for the first time. It's everybody. It's the offensive line needing time to gel together. And, Matt Pryor has been really efficient at right guard. I'm not going to say he's been amazing or, not a Pro Bowl guard or anything, but he's been effective. And the same can be said for the, Bill Murray, who came in to replace Tevin Jenkins, who got hurt again. And Bill Murray looked really, really good at left guard. He was flying all over the place, hitting guys, looking for guys to go and hit. It was it was nice to see. You kind of saw Coleman Shelton kind of taking that step and improving his game as well. Now, granted, watching the tape, the Panthers pass rush is absolutely atrocious. It's so bad. And, again, you can only play who you play. So I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves and say, oh, yeah, the offensive line has been fixed. But, hey, I'd rather the offensive line looks really, 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 really good against a terrible pass rush than like what you were saying at the beginning. If it looked the opposite, there would be big problems. But, Frank, someone else who has been improving their game as well, in my opinion, Shane Waldron. His usage of guys, it just, things are making sense. And you just look at the box, DeAndre Swift touched the ball 23 times. That's great. That's kind of what we were looking for. It was in the pass game. It was in the run game. Roschon Johnson got a healthy amount of carries, 10, not super efficient on the yards, but DJ Moore led the targets, which was great. Cole Kmet was second. DeAndre Swift, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, Gerald Everett. Like, that's how I think you and I and Bears fans in general probably expected that to sort of look. And I think Shane, I know I mentioned it. I'm sure you did as well. He's probably learning what he can do with the players that he has. And I think he was probably leaning on Gerald Everett more at the beginning of the season just because he was familiar with Gerald Everett. But now he kind of understands Cole Kmet's strong skill set, how to get him involved. That tight end screen was absolutely beautiful. Like, the things that he was doing made sense outside of that first drive. That was a little rough, but after that, I thought they got into a really, really good rhythm. And some of those concepts, man, he was getting guys open, wide open. And just give me your thoughts on the offense overall, and we can kind of go, I guess skill group by skill group if you'd like, or if you just want to talk in generalities.
No, yeah, I mean, unless you have something specific about skill groups, I think you said it all with O-line. The one thing that I saw out of them, though, that I loved was they were hitting that second level hard. And it wasn't, they were getting the linebackers and they were blocking them very well. But two, they weren't getting a legal man downfield. That to me is a huge improvement because we had some big gains get called back because of that over the last few weeks. So again, it's against the Panthers, I get that, but this should be something to build off of on tape with the offensive line. So you touched on everything else offensive line wise and Shane Waldron wise. I think the only my only qualm with Shane is still like things were actually working against the Panthers, and then he pulls that 4th and 1 shit again, that weird fullback handoff.
Terrible.
Dude, I'm not saying that the who was the guard that we are the center that we've been put, Doug Kramer. I'm not saying that the Doug Kramer, Roshan Johnson 4th and short is like the tush push of a couple years ago. But what I am saying is you can sort of liken that in the same mold of like it does. You don't have to trick people out, dude. When something works, it works, and it doesn't matter if the opponents know it's happening. Like the tush push, what was it, like 50 straight or something stupid like successions? Like keep doing that on 4th and short, 4th and inches until it doesn't work anymore. And as a matter of fact, you don't even have to wait until then. You can have plays off of that. Do a play action fake. Maybe give it to fucking Doug Kramer one time and see what the fuck it like. There are things you can do out of that formation and not like, you know what I mean, to throw some razzle dazzle or like make the opposing defenses stay on their toes. So for him to do that on 4th and 1 after a few minutes earlier, the 4th and 1 with Roshan and Doug just worked. Like they scored a touchdown. It's straight. I need him to just cut that out. There's those little things that getting too cute that reared its ugly head. Luckily, it didn't matter, but that was very annoying. But listen, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, real quick, I agree with you, and I've got to be honest with you. I would rather see them run that play with Doug Kramer, not get the not get the conversion, than be like, because at least you and I, if that play happened, where it's just like, oh, okay, maybe Panthers just make a play, but to try and get things horizontal and moving Roshan out, like just it's simple stuff, and I get it. He's he wants to convert it, and he doesn't want to just run right into the defense, but sometimes it just works. Sometimes it's just good to let your guys go and get that first down. So yeah, that was disappointing. I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you want to talk about that slow start, or did you have something else you wanted to get to first?
I'll let you bring that up. The one thing I did want to note, because we were talking in the positive here, there were two things that I fucking loved, and I'm sure Caleb and the other offensive weapons were in Waldron's ear over the last few weeks, finally making this happen. But that up tempo was beautiful, but it wasn't like there wasn't anything gimmicky about it. Like what I saw was the offense and Shane Waldron identifying where they had mismatches and saying, nope, we're not letting them substitute in. We're going. And like that to me is beautiful. Just out execute. That's all we've asked. And so two with that was the play action fakes were much more prevalent in this game. The rollouts, the cutting the field in half every now and then, because we know how good of a thrower Caleb is on the run. Like we started to see a lot of the common sense stuff that we've been begging for since the hire, not knowing really what we were getting with Shane Waldron. So that all to me was a huge positive. Again, I don't want to give too much credit to Shane. He could have probably even had like a week 1 game plan if we would have beat the Panthers. They're not that good. But again, it wasn't just a close win. This was a dominant win that showed that we were better on multiple levels on all 3 phases of the football. So I know you wanted to talk more just about the slow starts. I don't want to take that from you.
Yeah, it's happening too much. We're seeing it every single week, where it's just like that first drive, the first play of the game for the Bears on offense is Caleb just missing completely to Keenan Allen. He's throwing inside when he should be throwing it more to the boundaries. And Keenan Allen saved he saved a pick 6. that could have been a disaster. And what do, Frank? Then they run Swift to the left on 2nd and 10 when they're already on the left hash. So you're limiting where he's going to be able to go even more. And then Caleb gets sacked for 8 yards. They have to punt. That's not good enough, especially in the scripted series. One thing you can't take away from Matt Nagy is that dude could script the hell out of the first 15 games, and that offense would look damn good. With Andy Dalton, with Nick Foles, with Fields, with Trubisky, with Chase Daniel, whoever you want back there, he'll get you that first touchdown. It'll look good. But the slow start shit it's got to stop, because you can't do it against good teams and expect to win. Because, say what you will about how bad the Panthers were, Frank, they went up 7-0.
Yep.
With a long touchdown run by Chuba Hubbard. And luckily the offense kind of, they flipped the switch and they got going. But the slow starts coming out of halftime, I think they punted on their first in 3 and out after half. Like, I don't know why it keeps happening, where it's like you have this time to set up your offense. You should know exactly what you're doing, and then it just doesn't happen. And granted, on the 3 and out, there was that holding call too. So, penalties hurt this team a lot. And not for nothing, on that 3rd and 14, Caleb had Rome wide open for a touchdown, and he didn't throw it. And it's just like, we're getting there though.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you something, Frank. That touchdown throw to DJ Moore at the end of the half. First of all, how much time did they have left at the end of the half? They got the ball with 55 seconds left. How many fucking times have we seen the Bears drive down the field and get a touchdown? Not just kicking a field goal, getting a fucking touchdown. Now, the throw to DJ Moore, where Caleb starts right, he's looking right, he's got his shoulders square, and he just turns back, floats it wide open. That's high level shit right there. That's not rookie quarterback play. That's professional NFL quarterbacking that we have been begging for. And he didn't have to do anything special. He didn't have to make an incredible throw, which he did. But he looks off the safety, the linebackers, going to the right, comes back to the left, hits DJ for a touchdown. I don't know. That's just what we've been begging for that since this podcast fucking started, man.
I know. And
it's see.
But it's plays like that though, Jack, that don't make me panic whatsoever when we get these stills of the all 22 of him not seeing Rome. Because to me, all that means is Caleb saw something pre-snap that was probably just wrong, so he diagnosed the post-snap off of that. And I say that because you see with the eye manipulation thing, that comes straight pre-snap. He identifies the safeties, you get the mic, and you know what routes are happening. If I can get this safety to move here, I'm throwing it the other way. And I mean, quarterbacks have broken it down for years. Like that portion isn't rocket science, but he has all that down. So he just saw something wrong. But again, the fact that we're seeing him do this, he's going to see that tape and say, fuck, I guess I either guessed wrong what the safeties were going to do wrong, or I didn't remember that on tape, or something was just a little bit off there. And I'm okay with that. But we were talking about this in the group chat. Like, it's also like, I hearken back to like Justin Fields and Mitch Trubisky, and even taking the bad throw to Keenan, or the missed throw. I don't want to say missed. The non-throw to Rome Odunze, of like those types of things just prevented them from having good games, or like they needed every little thing to go right to get the 300 or whatever it was. It's like, this kid, I don't have that at all. And I haven't since like week 2 of like, oh, I'm nervous when he throws. Like, no, he's under control. He's got it. Because I just know, like, if he misses on a throw, he just, fucked up. Like, or it was like a lack of an execution. There wasn't like just throwing shit at the wall and seeing if it sticks. Like, so that's been very fun to watch. But one thing just with the overall offense, so more of in the vein of like, I'm still not totally convinced, but it was still nice to see. The run game is continuing to look better. Again, 2 straight weeks of like, you're going up against weak run defenses, but the one thing that I do think will continue to move forward is just how explosive Swift looks. This is the Swift we signed up for. This is the Swift that they're paying $8 million a year for. He was involved in the pass game, hitting holes hard, getting to the second level, making people miss. I know there were some fantasy owners that were pretty upset with him getting caught at the one. You're one of them. I own him in a league as well. So I know there was that portion of it, but this was the guy that
he's on your team. You don't own him. Okay, come on.
I own him, Jackie. I own him in 2 leagues. OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network. No, but it was good to see him have just those explosive plays within this scheme. Yeah. So that was very good. Jackie, did you have anything else? Oh, I guess I had one more thing to sort of like overall offense before we move on. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I actually do. Believe it or not. One thing especially week 1 and then in week 2 as well, that we touched on and then it's sort of just kind of fallen to the wayside, but this game specifically, I felt like, okay, this makes more sense. The velocity from some of Caleb's throws where he was just like alligator arming it. He wasn't quite putting the right touch on. Sometimes he was overdoing it. I haven't seen those concerns at all. Now, yeah, he still misses long. He'll miss short. It happens. But we're not seeing those just weird throws where it's just like looks like it's not coming out like fast enough. And, he talked about it after the game. He was battling the wind. Like the winds were apparently pretty bad on the field. So for him to be that accurate, I thought was really nice to see. Now, I one quick thing, I saw some people complaining about the throw to Cole Kmet at the end of that first half, where if he leads them, it's probably a walk-in touchdown for Cole Kmet. I don't know if the wind maybe took it to the outside or if Caleb was throwing it to the outside because it was, again, on the boundaries to maybe get a quick timeout, stop the clock, something like that. I thought it was a good throw regardless, but I just wanted to mention that because I saw a lot of people saying, well, if he just, leads them right there, it's a walk-in touchdown. Well, sometimes it's not that easy. So,
yeah.
Did you notice any issue? Like, because I know we talked about it on the podcast. Like the velocity just looked weird for Caleb, but ever since then, I feel like it's not even something that registers throughout the game until I think about our older episodes when we were talking about it.
It was for me, the velocity thing went away quarter 2, week 3, when he really just started dotting those fucking things. When he threw for 363, I was like, okay, this is the arm talent I saw on tape and in the preseason. Like it's there. So whatever happened those first couple of weeks, again, it was probably nerves. I know he said he's never been nervous. When the documentary comes out after he wins 6 Super Bowls with the Bears, 8, he'll finally admit that he was nervous for the first couple of weeks. But
what sport I think will he go play in between the 2 3-peats? Will he go play tennis?
No, I was thinking he'd probably win a championship with the Bulls.
Okay.
I think he can play the 1.
I mean, he was hanging out with Derrick Rose.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what they were talking about.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. No, I thought, I guess specifically honing in on Caleb. So then I have 2 things really quick. There's the one place that I do want to see him grow, and I'm not saying that he's bad at it currently, but I do think there's some room here, for him to hit his ceiling. I want him to learn still when to give up on plays. There was one play in particular against the Panthers, and it's happened every now and then, throughout the first 5 weeks. He broke about 3 or 4 tackles in the backfield. And I'm thinking, all right, Caleb, if no one's literally wide open where you're staring right now, just throw this thing away. And he's still rolling right. And I think he did wind up throwing it away, but he just got hit again and he just landed bad. And we've seen Jay Cutler break his thumb, Justin Fields get hurt on those types of plays. And it's like, dude, like, I know you have this special quality within you that you can extend plays and break tackles and play backyard football. And I don't want that to go away. But there's a fine line of when to do that. Or not, I don't want to say when to do it. You're still going to do it, but like when to give up on that. When to just know, all right, I'm fighting for the next down. Because I cannot have him get hurt or even just make a colossal mistake because of that. Because that's also a possibility where it's what is that fallacy? The sunken cost fallacy, where he's like, I did all this, right. I've got to fucking get something out of it. It's like, it's okay. Yeah. And he hasn't done it a ton. So it's not like clearly not like Will Levis level or anything like that. But there are these certain plays where I just want him to protect himself a little bit better. Last thing, Jack, from an overall offensive standpoint, though, was the one thing that I loved, what I was really worried about, and honestly, like, I don't want to, again, I know we've said what we feel about Eberflus in the past, but if we're going to do that, I also want to give him some credit when credit's due. They stood aggressive with a big lead. I actually notated down, we were up 27-7. Well, I lost. I forgot what this. I think it was 27-7. Yeah, and we were still passing the ball. Caleb was checking into passes, and I was like, one, this is just straight up disrespectful at this point because they just have no respect for this Panthers defense. But two, it just shows how much they trust Caleb right now. They didn't do that. Granted, different coaching staffs and such along the way, but like Mitch wasn't trusted to do that with the big lead. Justin wasn't trusted to do that with the big lead. You were just trying to bleed out the clock and get as conservative as you can. So, for them to do that and stay aggressive, that to me is a huge sign because that's what good teams do. Good teams do not allow bad teams or any team that day to get back in the game without them making insane plays against you. Like they played with fire a little bit, but you need that. You have to do that to win ball games. Getting conservative in these moments is what loses you games. I mean, we see it all the time. For as ironic as it is with Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, two of the most brilliant offensive minds, they get conservative in these spots and then blow leads in the fourth quarter because of it. Like, keep this on, keep that going. And if if Caleb makes a mistake and you feel the need to do it the next drive, so be it. But don't get away from the game plan. You all came in with the game plan coming in and they stuck with it all 4 quarters. And that was really refreshing to see.
Yeah. And the second half, just in terms of aggression, I was also happy to see that. Obviously, a couple mistakes took some points off the board. The clipping penalty by Doug Kramer, which
that was a bad. I have an overall thing about the Yeah,
the refs kind of sucked. That took off some points, but then a couple punts here and there. But they were staying aggressive. They just weren't as effective in the second half, so that was a little disappointing. The one thing, Frank, and I love this. To your point, I just like Eberflus. We haven't seen that like super conservative nature, and I think it's because, like you were just saying, they trust Caleb. They have a better quarterback. They have a better offense they feel good about. Frank, when they ran Roschon Johnson into the end zone, and J.C. Horn starts throwing a little bitch fit and starts, punching people's helmet. Stop hitting people in the helmet. Stop punching people's helmets. Just stop. It's so stupid. But then, Frank, to do that, guys get shoving a little bit, getting into it, which I absolutely love to see. To then go for 2, just the ultimate disrespect.
Yeah.
Now they didn't get it, unfortunately. But dude, like, that was the moment where I was like, oh, okay, Eberflus. All right. Yeah. You tell that team, go fuck yourselves. Enjoy the flight home. I absolutely love that.
Well, and it's
from
sort of so one of the what just clicked in my head, Jack, as you just finished that was, I remember, and people called you a little crazy early on when the Bears were blowing out the Patriots in year 1 or 2 of Eberflus. And
I think it was 1. I think it was year 1.
It was why I don't remember. I remember Justin just going off with his legs that game, and there was an opportunity to go for go for 50 or go for 2. It was something to be aggressive, to like stamp, like, I just beat the fuck out of Bill Belichick today, and he didn't do it. And I remember you being like, dude, that's a fucking cuck move. Like, I don't like that out of my head coach. I want my head coach to, and like realistically, that sort of shows your nature, right? Like, maybe you're not the killer that we need as the CEO of this team. Maybe he's getting a little better with that. Maybe he is. Maybe it comes with confidence. You know what I mean? Because I do remember you making that point early on when we were sort of looking for some red flags with the guy. And so that's sort of full circle there. The
2022, 2023. So they won 33-14.
So it had to have been going for 2 at a certain point. It was something, I don't remember what. Or going forward on 4th down late. There was some scenario where I remember we were winning the game handedly, and you were pissed. You're like, what are we doing here? Like, you're going against Bill B. Like, stamp this shit.
There's I just looking at it here. There's the second quarter, a Cairo Santos 23-yard field goal. It doesn't have the exact specifics, so that may have just been like an end of half type thing. There's also a 38-yard field goal. So one of those, I'm sure, was just like, what are we doing? Go for it on fourth here.
It was right. I remember being something like that, just like being upset about his lack of aggression. But I have one more thing as it ties into the coaching staff that is still worrisome to me, because to your point, the Bears, or to both of our points, the Bears stood aggressive, but to your point, it wasn't as effective in the second half. But a big part of that reason is these pre-snap penalties, dude. It's happening way too much still. Way too much.
More so than we had ever seen under Getsy.
And I know. And the thing was, do you remember, going back to us looking for like red flags and sort of knowing what we wanted out of Eberflus? We were one of the least penalized teams, as bad as they were the first 2 years. And we're like, okay, that to me is culture building. That to me is, you holding people accountable. What's happening? Why is that going away? Was Luke Getsy a bigger part of this than we ever knew or something? I don't understand, because there's way too much of that. Now, someone did make a good point, and it could just be simply this, where this whole team had sort of learned the cadence of Justin. There wasn't much cadence. It was a lot of the same. So it could have been just that, like, the first time he says hot or whatever it is, like, we know what it is. And Caleb's a little more advanced than that at the line with pre-snap stuff. And they're all getting, and hopefully that is that. And it's not this sort of lack of accountability and or whatever it could be from a coaching standpoint. That's the only retort that I heard that made sense to me, but still, even if it's that, get on the same fucking, hold them accountable then. Hold Caleb and whoever else is at fault here accountable for these pre-snap penalties. Because again, we won this game 36-10 or whatever, but those have hurt us already this year in some of these games. That hurt us against the Texans. That was a winnable game. It was a one-score game. Hurt us against the Colts.
Yeah, and to your credit, coaching kind of goes into the slow starts of what we're talking about. Just, maximizing opportunities and those penalties, they can't keep happening, especially if you're playing good teams, like you were just saying against the Texans. Like that can't happen. Speaking of which, Texans holding arguably the second best quarterback in the league, Josh Allen, to, what was it, 9 for 30 stat line?
And one for 15 on air yards over 20 or something terrible. It was bad. Now
that week 2 game doesn't look so bad for Caleb retrospectively looking.
That is true.
And hey, Caleb could have maybe had 400 yards passing here if DJ Moore doesn't drop that ball. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
No, you're right. But the DJ has this weird thing every now and then. I don't know if it's just habit from like childhood, because you see this a lot in Pop Warner football. He like jumps to catch the ball sometimes when there's no need. It's like right in his chest, and he does this where I don't know. And now it could be sort of I'm getting in a gallop in case I have to break a tackle. I don't know what it is, but that looked like that was the reason why he dropped that ball. He was like so wide open, but he like jumped a little, and I was like, it was almost like the Alfonso Soriano. You remember when he was in left field? I was
just gonna say,
yeah.
I just didn't want to cut you off. It's a little Fonzie Soriano in left field.
Yeah,
at Wrigley Field, jumping when you absolutely don't need to.
No, it's so, yeah, that's I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but yeah, he obviously there was some. I mean, that could have been a house right there. That could have been, my goodness, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, and just combining that with coaching, I like that, like you were saying, with previous quarterbacks, and goddamn, I cannot wait until like week 9, week 10, when we're just like talking about Caleb for Caleb's sake, and we don't have to keep referencing the past, because it's just how it works right now. It's this is it. We've never been in this situation before. But that being said, with those deep shots, like the one that he could have had with Rome but didn't throw it, that was like the one opportunity we'd see for Mitch or for Justin, and they just don't take it. And then Justin specifically, he just one read and go. He just runs. And with Caleb, like, you can so very clearly see him going through his progressions, 1 to 2 to 3, and to your point, sometimes he'll try and go to 4. He'll try and go to 5. He's not taking off until he absolutely has to. He won't throw that thing away because he wants someone to get open. But one thing that I really liked what I saw, if not just outright loved, one thing we talked about last week was Caleb just needed to understand, and I think he's learned it now, These are NFL players, man. Like, he doesn't need to make every single play happen himself. Get the ball in space to DJ Moore, let him go and get 25, 30 yards. Get the ball to Cole Kmet on a tight end screen, let him go. Have DeAndre Swift sneak out on that little screen, that running back screen to Swift, where he almost gets to the end zone. He's got that little Matt Forte bug in him where he just knows how to get to the one but not punch it in. That was beautiful. That was a beautiful play design. And that's what I like to see more, where it's not just Caleb has to beat every single team from the pocket and make perfect throws and perfect strikes. No, like, get these guys open in space and let them do some of the work too. And we definitely saw a lot of that, which was just great to see, honestly. And I don't know, man, like, this offense is coming along. Like, we're starting to see Shane get a little bit more into his bag with some of these plays. Obviously, that 4th and 1 just simplified a little bit, but I would argue there was a lot more good than bad from Shane Waldron in this game specifically. I don't really think, and I haven't seen a lot of people arguing against that. There weren't a lot of people calling for Shane's job in week 5.
No, not even close to it. I think every Bears fan was very satisfied with the way, for the most part, that he called the game. I think the two things that I did want to touch on before we get, there's a few things on defense, just sort of overall coaching staff type of thing. Listen, Jackie, we can't discount that the Bears are 3-0 at home this year, and they've won their last 9 now at home. Like, I know it's become cliche, but a lot of what we heard growing up was you start the winning habits at home. When you win at home, that's a great thing. But I don't know, I don't know if anyone ever went into specifics, but that was always sort of the cliche. So again, we're thinking about something being built here. They're winning at home, and we're gonna make London our home. And Caleb's gonna wake up, he's gonna eat some fucking baked beans, and he's gonna go out and toss for 450. Like, he's comfortable there already. He has house slippers. He's bought a condo. That's where he's gonna go. He's gonna have a child with his wife, and he's gonna name him Liam Williams. Anyway, the second thing was,
I was just gonna let you go. I was gonna let you go until you couldn't go anymore.
I was gonna keep going, but it was gonna get dark. Listen, we already kind of touched on it. I did want to make sure we highlighted it though. These refs, that holding call on DeAndre Swift gets pummeled in a pass blocking opportunity. Just falls over. I mean, I'm not making fun of him. He got hit by a fucking linebacker coming at him 20 miles an hour. Like, of course you're gonna fall. And they call holding on the guy. And then Jack, I swear to God, I haven't seen a clipping call since like 2006. That was a big call. That was one of the high. Remember, how every year they come in with, here are the ones we want to make sure we get rid of, so we're calling it harsh early. That wasn't like 2006, 2007 when they were calling the clipping. When he said clipping. Because I was thinking, like, was there a block in the back maybe that I missed? Chop block. I said, clipping something. Is fucking insane. I didn't even know that was in the rule book anymore. They brought out a fucking 1940s.
Yeah, it was. It's just a problem that, like, and I know it has nothing to do with the Bears game, and I don't know how many people listening to this podcast may have seen it. But if you haven't, go look up Josh Downs. Just search Josh Downs.
The first
on
down
Twitter,
thing,
where he does one of these, and for the first down, and I guess they thought it was he was pretending it was a gun. Now I saw, what was it? It wasn't Kelsey, but people were complaining that it was, because he fired an arrow into the crowd, the celebration.
Oh yeah.
and people were like, well, what the fuck was that? Because I think it was a Bengals player did that, and they got called for it or something like that. But Josh Downs is literally just doing what and you watch the Bears game, and every time a Bears player was doing it, I was like, stop. Like, are we going to get called?
CD does it. CD does it every first down.
Everyone does it.
Yeah.
Everybody does it. It's just, I know we say this every single year, but the officials, man, are getting a little out of control here. Oh. And Caleb, again, is there something about Bears quarterbacks that they just can't get, late hit flags? Now, I'm not saying that when Caleb took that shot out of bounds, he should have got the flag.
But that was a solid 2 yards out of bounds. It wasn't like close. Hard contact, but I mean, it's pretty late.
It's close though. And I was happy to see Justin get one of those in the Sunday night,
he got fucking
Monday
clobbered
morning
on that.
games. Yeah. Justin gets that, with the Steelers. I'm just questioning, like what's going on with the Bears. And hey, our quarterback didn't throw a pick six. Speaking of other quarterbacks, just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. saying.
Do you think our ownership group isn't donating to the right charities or something that the NFL wants them to, and the refs have it out for us a little? But the other play that I was thinking of too was that Tyreek Stevenson pass interference call. That was so fucking bad. That was so bad. And it's like, it's super, like, I have never in my life, no matter what sport that I like, things are fixed, they're fixing it. I don't think that now, but I'm just saying, when the average fan or people who are maybe more conspiratorial minded see things like that, it's not a fucking far-fetched thing to think, maybe not like fix, but like, yeah, sure. maybe the league is saying, hey, if it's a blowout, give the other team a little bit and try to tighten things up a tad bit.
The spread, it was like the Bears were only like a 4-point favorite.
Yeah, I think it was 3.5. Yeah,
and I'm just saying, you can only see so many LeBron James DraftKings commercials with Kevin Hart where he's laughing at his terrible jokes to start thinking like, hey, what is going on here? Is there something behind this? I don't know. But listen, the Bears didn't put themselves in a position where those penalties were really gonna make it, determine the outcome, which I absolutely love. It was nice to see the Chicago Bears go out, beat and just dog walk a team that everyone expects them to. Now, granted, did you and I feel good about it? Maybe not necessarily, because we saw, what was it, 16-13 last year, where against the same Panthers team. Now, listen, I'll take a game like that every single time, because that's what good teams do to bad teams, and we just haven't seen that enough from the Bears. Now, one last thing I wanted to say about Shane Waldron, I just don't get, they have no linebackers. And his first thought was, I'm attacking the boundaries instead of over the middle of the field. Now, granted, he got there. He got there with Cole Kmet on that, with the seam throw, the slant to DJ Moore, the DJ Moore. I guess I shouldn't say he dropped it. Caleb made a bad throw because I think Caleb maybe almost had another touchdown throw, but he threw it low to DJ Moore and DJ couldn't catch it. But that was on the slant. That was attacking the middle of the field. He got there eventually, so I'm not going to get that upset about it. But we're starting to see some common sense things that don't make me want to absolutely just chuck my phone into a wall and just say, stop throwing the horizontal screens.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we absolutely need to see this carry over to a Jaguars team that just gave up 34 points to Joe Flacco. Absolutely need to see that. But after week 5, I'm feeling pretty fucking good, Frank. And I want to give you one stat, and then I'm going to let you wrap us up here. But I think it's really important because one of the things that people were complaining about Caleb was that he just wasn't very good against the blitz. He just wasn't getting the ball out fast enough. The offensive line wasn't very good. The last 2 weeks, this is from PFF, 17 of 19, 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 0 turnover-worthy plays against the blitz for Caleb Williams. That's growth.
Yeah.
That's proven growth for the number 1 pick who you expected to draft.
It's not only is it growth, though, that's like further proof that what we've been talking about is correct, about him knowing what he's seeing. It's not dissimilar to basketball when someone's double or triple team. That means someone's open. It's the same thing with the blitz. Right. When you know where the blitz is coming from and you can diagnose that or at least react to that, that part of the field is open now. There's going to be a hole there, and he's been finding them. It's been phenomenal. It's been like 80%, if not more, pre-snap stuff from him. It's very clear he already has a high IQ. I think you're just sort of born with those sort of instincts for sports. So he has that, but he's also combining that with tape. You can tell he fucking grinds tape. So I'm right there with you. Super refreshing. Last few things that I want to touch on, Jackie, because again, we don't have to touch too much on the defense from week to week. We know this is a top 5 unit. 2 things. Dexter is a stud. I know we said that the first 4 weeks as well, but I mean, you can't not, because with the discourse around Jalen Carter, and I wouldn't have been upset had they drafted Jalen Carter. We were just concerned that so early in the rebuild, you bring in someone with the personality red flags that he has, I understood why they did not take him, even though 3-tech was of need at the time. But Jalen Carter is producing this year so far at a better rate and at a better value. We got him in the second round versus the first. Who did I say?
Producing at a higher rate. You said Carter's producing.
I'm sorry,
at a higher rate,
Dexter is producing over Carter at a round off of value. So that's awesome to see. 2, that fucking.
You see this, Frank? See that?
0 sacks.
That's how many sacks that Carter has.
Yeah.
You know how many
he didn't even have a sack in, but never mind. The other thing that I wanted to touch on was that Kevin Byard pick was phenomenal. Ooh. But not only just the pick, though. He's been steady Eddie all 5 of these weeks. And it made me just weird thoughts. I have these weird connective thoughts every now and then. That's why we get on tangents on this fucking podcast. We've been trying to get better at organizing it. But that really showed, his performance has showed me how big of a fall off Eddie Jackson has had. Because it's not that Byard has been like all over the field and he's doing Mike Brown in his prime type of shit. But it's like, you almost want him to be like, a referee. We just don't want to see you. We don't want you to be the one making the mistakes. We don't just do when you are just doing your job and you're not taking bad angles for tackles and making business decisions when it's your time to make it. Like, he's been great. He's been a phenomenal addition to this defense, and I think to a point he's been almost an underrated part of this defense because Eddie Jackson, the blown coverages over the last few years, the missed tackles, just like taking horrible angles to tackles, that was prevalent the last 3 years on his tape. And Byard, again, it's not been nothing special. This isn't like Tyrann Mathieu or Troy Polamalu or high level dudes, but it's just been steady, and it's like exactly what the doctor ordered. It's been phenomenal.
That being said, Xavier McKinney has 5 picks in 5 games.
That kid sucks.
I'm just saying Byard's been great. Veteran leader. Love to see it. I'm just saying, Xavier McKinney was a guy you and I kind of wanted.
Yeah.
Goes to the Packers. He's kind of been balling. I'm just.
Yeah. Well, I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about that, Jackie.
Oh, well, I'm not worried. We have a better quarterback than Green Bay. What's there to be worried about?
We have a better running back too, and a better receiving core.
Better wide receivers. Yeah, we don't have receivers who quit and cry and go home because they're second in targets on the team.
Nope, sure don't.
Like,
our dicks are bigger, our shoes fit better, our clothes are nicer. I don't
understand about
Dobbs. Our chains are more expensive.
Well, that's true. Everything's a little more expensive in Chicago than in Green Bay. I'm just saying.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true. Listen, Jackie, last thing for me, the one concern that I do have about this defense, and it's in the same vein of like us talking about these pre-snap penalties, meaning, going to mean something more against good teams in tighter games. I'm a little concerned with the run defense, dude. I know Chuba Hubbard's been having a good year. He's a solid running back. I would even say underrated running back. I liked him his rookie year. I thought he was a solid. I forget who they had there, but he was a solid compliment to him. And obviously his role has grown. But this is week 5, and we're not stopping the run all that well. Joe Mixon looked pretty good against us before he had gotten hurt. Jonathan Taylor sliced us up. I'm concerned there.
Okay, let me alleviate some of your concerns. Can I do that for you? I'm
yes,
not going to say it's perfect.
Right.
It's not perfect. But if you'll notice, the backups again were in on that big play to Chuba Hubbard. That big touchdown.
Yeah.
So and I know, who I think it might have been Brisker who was talking. No, Jalen Johnson. It was Jalen Johnson who was talking about it, and he was just kind of sharing some frustration where it's like, we're missing checks, we're missing guys aren't plugging up the right holes, they're not hitting the right assignments. That's something I think the Bears are going to have. I think they just are going to have to make some corrections when those backups are in. And whether that's going to be, maybe rotating in at different times, maybe not having both Billings and Dexter off the field at the same time. They're going to have to change something up because, Frank, Tank Bigsby is coming to, I guess he's not coming to town. He's coming to London. He's coming to the Redcoat territory. All right. And this defense, they better be ready because the Jaguars were able to run the ball against the Colts, and the Colts fucking suck at run defense. So do the Bears. So that's if there's something to kind of maybe hang your hat on a little bit, it's that big play happened when the backups were in, but at least it stopped there. That didn't really happen again. Now, granted, Dave Canales, or Alex Canales, as Jonathan Vilma was having just a great game himself.
Oh, he was terrible. Oh my God.
Dave kind of he I don't know why he got away from the run as quickly as he did. He kind of just put the ball in Andy Dalton's hands and said, "All right, now go win us this thing, kid." And that obviously didn't happen. So that was a little weird, but at least the Bears, that was kind of the biggest play that happened all day. So, I guess that's something else to hang your hat on.
That's fair. And to a degree, it may even be nitpicking at this point, because again, situationally, they've been so good. They're so good in the red zone. They're still causing turnovers. So what we might
Tyler Gordon is a dog. Can we just say
dude, and can I just say, my oldest son, he stays up on Sundays. He doesn't get any nap time. He wants to watch the whole game. And I showed him the Kyler Murray Spider-Man. Oh, he loves him. That's his second favorite player now.
His favorite player.
Yeah. He told me, because every time Caleb Williams is on the screen, I'm like, there's your boy, Caleb. So now he's like, that's my boy, Dad. But now what he told me before the game, he said, Dad, I have to tell you something. I said, what's going on? He said, I have a different list of boys. Like, I have a different boy. I was like, well, who are your boys? And he's like, 1 is Spidey. Yeah, like, all right, that's fair. 2 is Caleb Williams, and 3 is Kyler Gordon. Those are his boys. That's his power ranking of boys.
Okay, so Spidey. So he's got 2 Spideys on there, because he's got Spider-Man and Kyler Gordon.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right. He can have 2. I'll give him 2. Yeah.
So listen, Jack. Going into I guess we'll sort of end, because we can't really find the time to do a full preview episode. I'm favoring the Bears. The only thing that would push me off of that, if I was a betting guy on the game, is just London weird shit happens. Time zones, people's bodies react differently. But talent-wise, Trevor,
and they're going to be minus Brisker.
And they're minus Brisker, who was out with the concussion. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, you are right. So it's going to be Owens. It's going to be. I think he's a really good. The times he's gotten reps in, that's what I'm saying. He's a pretty fucking good safety. I don't think Brisker's been balling the fuck out. Like this may be an all-pro year for the guy, but I don't think you're losing as much as you were in years past when a secondary piece went out. I dare I say I'd be disappointed if we lost the game. I know it's in London, but man, I just think they're a better team. I think the Bears are that's my overall takeaway from the game, Jack, and it ties into that. We are separating ourselves from the floor. We're separating ourselves from the dirt and the mud and the ugly. We're not that, clearly. Now, we may not be, the Chiefs or whatever elite team that there is, but we sure as fuck ain't that. And I don't think Jacksonville is far from the mud, man. And I think this is another chance for us to continue that separation, for at least us being in the middle of the pack.
This schedule is going to start getting tougher, especially after Jacksonville. After the bye week, things are going to get tough. We're gonna start playing some of those division games, and this NFC North is by far, unfortunately, the best division in football right now. So you got to stack these wins, stack some of these good games together. Like you said, Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence. The Colts are not very good. I think the Bears defense is going to cause some major problems for Trevor Lawrence. Like, the Colts have nobody left. Everybody's hurt. And Trevor Lawrence looked good. They cut the guy who made the mistake where Brian Thomas Jr. got wide open for a touchdown. Like, that's not going to happen in this Bears game. We haven't seen it all year. I'm putting that statement down. It's just not going to happen. Except for Nico Collins, he's
a dog. He's a top 5 receiver in the league. Hopefully he gets healthy.
Yeah, and listen, I think the Bears are going to handle this game pretty well. Now, are they going to blow them out? Who knows? Like you said, it's a London game. I like that they're already there, by the way. I know some teams, like the Jets and Vikings, only win a couple days before.
Well, Nagy used to do that too. You remember that Raiders game? Yeah. And he did the same exact thing. We got there on Thursday.
Yeah, let's hope we don't see another London game like that. That would just be demoralizing. But let's go into the bye on a high. Let's beat the shit out of this Jaguars team that's just not very good. They give up a lot of points. This defense is definitely exposable. Obviously, got to handle Josh Hines Allen, which I didn't know he changed his name to Hines Allen this season, so that's confused me a little bit. Handle him. Let's see if this offensive line. I know Tevin is making the trip. Obviously we don't know if he's going to play quite yet. But let's see what that offensive line looks like against a better pass rush than whatever the Panthers have going on there. That was rough. And last thing I'll say, Frank, look, admitting when you're wrong is a part of life. All right. And it's good to admit when you're wrong.
The Bears should have taken Brock Bowers.
I'm admitting I'm wrong. No, I'm admitting I was wrong. Ryan Poles made the correct decision in taking Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon over George Pickens and Alec Pierce. Even though
Pierce
I would have
pretty
loved
fucking good though.
He made the correct decision drafting those two guys. I'd rather have Brisker and Gordon than those two dudes at this point.
Okay. You keep having fun with Roma Dunze. Oh, he was open that one time, and I don't know. Jackie, last thing for me.
What was he like 8? How many catches he had? 4 for 60. What was it?
I don't even know what his stat line was. He did solid though.
No, Rome had. Hold on. Hold on. Don't change the topic. 5 catches for 40 yards, and I think he had 6 targets. So
fucking
relax. All right.
Slant
get
merchant.
Keenan out of the get Keenan's
fucking guy
old
can't run a
ass
single
out
route
of the
to
way.
save his life. Brock Bowers out here just fucking bulldozing 300-pound linebackers on his way to the end zone.
Are you going to admit that you were? Well, you have to acknowledge that you were wrong. You can't just say, "Oh yeah."
All
Brock
I ever
Bowers
said
is
about
so
the kid was he was
good.
generational, best talent in the draft outside of Torrey Taylor and Caleb Williams. That's what I said.
You called him ugly. You called him.
He is ugly. He is ugly. Listen, last thing, because I know that this has been the common thing to find any little thing to criticize Caleb Williams. Oh, well, he threw for 52. He threw 52 times. It was against the Panthers. It's fucking Joe Biden won't shut the fuck up. But the first 4 weeks of the Panthers season, Joe Burrow, 232 for 31. And shout out to not SC Will on Twitter. Burrow threw for 232 on 31 attempts. Minshew 214 on 28. Derek Carr 200 on 23. And Justin Herbert 130 on 20. So Caleb has by far had the best game against his defense, which again is down a few pieces, but you only play who you play. Listen, you can't disparage the kid. And two, you know what? This is another thing with that too. Can we, again, I said this last time, the internet will not, or Twitter specifically, will not make me hate Jaden Daniels. Will not, because I'm watching the games and I find myself rooting, I hope he throws a pick. And I had to stop myself, stop. Can Twitter, no, because I see that and it sort of rewires your brain to want to win whatever argument there is out there. But
Yep.
him being good doesn't mean Caleb can't be good. They can both be good, fellas. I know they're going to be compared because they were picked 1 and 2, but it should get to a point if they both continue to play well, you just say, oh, they both made the right pick. They're both playing phenomenal football. It's weird. It's very, very strange. But I guess what bothers me with it, and this would be a longer thing if we ever even delved in, it's not even analyzing certain stats or this. It's just the narrative. The narrative writing behind all of it is fucking... That's what annoys me about sports Twitter, is that people, they don't just say, hey, I think Jaden's playing better. I would have taken Jaden over. Okay, we can have that discussion and tell you, why I think the opposite. But when you start adding in your own little narrative pieces to stats or whatever, that's what I find myself... And I've had to, block accounts and get it away. Because, again, it's the same thing with Justin. I want Justin to play. I want him to play well. I still like Justin. I don't mind. I never disliked Jaden. I did have him 3rd or 4th on my quarterback rankings, but that didn't mean I'm rooting against the kid. The only I would say this again, the only person I've ever rooted against after everything was Zach Wilson, because he should not have been a 1st-round pick. I stand on that, but I had to say my piece, Jackie.
Yeah, I mean, I think what makes it frustrating for me, and I can't speak to anyone else. I know, you and I are kind of on the same page when it comes to Jaden Daniels and, even Justin to a certain degree. It's the goalposts move because everybody I shouldn't say everybody. The people who are creating those narratives that, oh, well, the Bears are, of course, Bears, typical Bears making the wrong choice. It's just because they didn't like Caleb Williams as a person, as a player, whatever it is. And you're moving the goalposts because, for everybody all the Bears fans who are excited about Caleb Williams' performance against the Panthers, well, it's just the Panthers. And it's like, okay, but have you looked at who Jaden Daniels played when he was, has been performing as well as he has and having those super high completion percentages and, making those great throws? He hasn't really played anyone good, So, like, that's the argument there. But just because Jaden Daniels is playing really well, like you just said, it has nothing to do with Caleb Williams. They're not playing against each other. They will after the bye. Bears at Command. That's going to be a fun game.
That's going to be a fun game, man. I hope both teams are still humming too.
And people losing sight of the fact that and something we absolutely should not just let go is the Bears absolutely fucking destroyed the Panthers in that trade. Thank you, Panthers, for that beautiful trade. Jonathan Vilma, like you said, we can't be too sure if the Bears won because the Vikings are 5-0. So, we got to keep that into account when you're considering the trade between the Bears and the Panthers. Hey, look, and that Bears, the trade's not even over because the Bears got another second round pick.
And it might be pick 33.
It might be pick 33. But again, the Vikings are 5-0. So we got to keep that into consideration.
Horses. What does Ja have to say about this?
I mean, it's just like let's forget the Jaden Daniels stuff, forget the Justin Fields stuff. The Bears absolutely fucking dog walked the Panthers in that trade, and I know Ryan Poles absolutely just felt good after that win. He went down there. Ryan Poles probably should have got the game ball, if I'm being honest with you.
Ooh, you're right. Who did get it? I didn't pay attention, or I didn't see.
I'm gonna guess Caleb or
right.
maybe it was Mercedes Lewis again for playing his 800th game.
Yeah.
For some reason,
fucking guy's a dinosaur.
He's on the field for like 2 plays, but hey, give him the game ball.
Wait. The funniest shit about him is the first 2 weeks. I swear to God, I thought he was getting cut because he had literally 2 snaps. One in week 1 and one in week 2, and both were false starts, and they yanked him the fuck out of the game. If those games weren't so frustrating to watch, we could have had fun with that. But I swear, in the middle of the game, within the frustration, I laughed for a solid couple minutes both times because it was a false start. It's like, all right, get out there, old man.
Yeah, get Grandpa back in the home.
Oh man!
And yet he's still younger than Velus Jones somehow.
Yeah, listen, Velus Jones is just he's trying to get tenured. He's trying to get his AARP. Listen, I know who he's voting for. He needs his fucking Social Security very soon.
Get that pension.
Vote blue in November, baby.
But no, a very satisfying win. By far my favorite win of the season so far. Head to London. Hopefully we can beat a very beatable Jacksonville team. Hit the bye. Commanders, Cardinals, Patriots. I mean, those are some games that are very winnable. So we have a good stretch of Bears football coming right up here. I'm ready to. Luckily, my son wakes me up at 7 a.m. now, so I'll be ready to go. Yeah. For that, 2 years ago, I'd be like, "Fuck, 8:30 game. What are we doing here?" But I caught the whole Jets-Vikings game, so I'll do the same for the Bears. But we'll definitely talk about it. This has been the Bear With Us podcast. I'm Jack, luckily enough to be joined by Dak Prescott. Appreciate your time, sir. Good win. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, you won.
We fucking won.
Yesterday.
Don't you discount me? 3 picks, and we still got it done.
Oh, fuck. All right. This has been the Bear With Us podcast. Thanks for listening. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, I think is what it's called. We're everywhere. TikTok. We got TikTok shorts.
We do have a TikTok, yeah.
If you don't want to spend an hour listening to us idiots breaking down terrible quarterback play, go check us out on TikTok for the good stuff. But until then, I don't have like a good tagline for London without it being super stereotypical.
Be stereotypical. Shrimp on a bobby.
Sure. No, that's Australia. That's you're gonna get.
That's
Austria.
Get
Tory Taylor coming. Oh, not. You're gonna get Tory Taylor coming after you. All right. You want that?
I would want that a lot. Oh, I'll give him my address. I'll drop the location.
Yeah, I got nothing. Thank you guys for listening. Frankie, I'll talk to you next week.
Later, Jackie. Later, everybody.